Okay, so before we start, a few announcements. First of all, I think I am going to decide to not give shiur next week or the week after. I think because I'm at that point. So that's that. And then the other announcement I was going to make is I may d get hit with a wave of like tired and need to stop abruptly because I've been up since 2:30. And so we'll hope that the adrenaline carries me through. And then the third thing is I just wanted to make an announcement about I didn't even notice this consciously, but this is the second or third year that we've had these Thursday night Pirkei Avos shiurim. I think it's the third year. Yeah, right. So for some reason this year, just the way my school schedule works out, I don't I find I don't end up having time to prepare this for tonight. What I do is on Shabbos I prepare it with Isaiah, and I tell myself, oh, I'm going to remember all the ideas, and then as the week goes on, I forget. So then what I tell myself whenever I'm like panicking right before shiur, I tell myself, oh, if I came up with ideas with Isaiah, then I can certainly come up with ideas again with like more people, you know? So that's been the story this year. And so far it seems to have been working out, but I'm always nervous that I'm gonna just like, okay, I just have nothing, you know, but it hasn't happened yet. So we'll see. Hopefully it won't happen. Okay, so we are continuing with Avos 410, which is thematically connected to the last one. Let's actually just read the last one again, just to not going to go over all the ideas again, but just to refresh our memory. The last one we did was Avos 4:9. Rabbi Yochanan Omer, Kol HaMekayim Es HaTorah Me'oni, Sofa L'Kayma Me'osher, Kol HaMevatel Es HaTorah Me'osher, Sofa L'Vatel Me'oni. Anyone who fulfills the Torah from poverty will ultimately fulfill it from wealth, and anyone who neglects to fulfill the Torah from wealth will ultimately neglect it from poverty. Okay, so then we got another one here. Rabbi Meir Omer, Heve Mamait Be'esek Va'asok B'Torah, Veheve Shval Ruach Bifnei Chol Adam, V'im Batalta Min HaTorah, Yesh L'cha Betelim Harbe Knegdach, V'im Amalta B'Torah, Yesh Lo Sachar Habre Liten Lach. Okay, let me post this in the chat, and then we'll translate. Okay, who would like to try to translate? Go ahead, Tamar.
Okay, definitely just trying.
Yeah.
Okay, but Mary says, you should be reducing your work.
Yeah. So you should I also debated whether to say reduce or minimize. In other words, I don't know if minimize means make it less or make it little, you know?
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know which one. And then you're right to say your work. Do you know what does ASIC, I guess, literally mean?
Involvement.
Yeah, your involvement. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that in case the Mefarshim like get subtleties here. Um
Okay.
and then Vasok B'Torah.
And be involved in
Yeah,
Torah.
and be involved in Torah. And another way to translate this, which I don't like because it's not as accurate, but it is cutesy, is minimize. You could say it like this. You could say minimize your business and busy yourself with Torah. That way you keep the like
Yeah. Right.
yeah, but okay, because ASIC is technically a noun, so it's always a little awkward.
Mm.
Minimize your involvement because in English it's like involvement in what,
Right. Right.
business is almost the same kind of word, but we understand what business means, it just means busyness, even though it came from that. Okay, then v'heve shval ruach bifnei chol adam.
And you should be low of spirit before every person.
Yeah, low spirit, low of spirit, I guess, before every person. All right, now this next part's a little hard to translate. V'im batalta min Torah yesh lecha betelim harbe kinegdach.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If you wait, didn't we just have this word?
Yeah,
If you
we did, yeah. So
how to say this?
we translated it there as if you neglect Torah.
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason I'm a little hesitant to do that translation again is the last time we said mivatel es haTorah, so you are verbing the Torah, so you're neglecting the Torah. This one is im batalta min haTorah. So I almost want to translate it as if you abstain from Torah.
Okay.
That way you can get the from in there. But
Yeah.
then this next part's very hard to translate. Yesh lecha betelim harbe knegdach.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of know what the words mean, but I don't know what the sentence means.
Yeah. So you have
Um,
many. Let's just actually not translate betelim. And if you had to like try to guess what it meant, what would you say?
like non things.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Many yeah, I like that. Non things or again, this is not really a good word. Negators, like that which negates, things that cause you to abstain. Okay. Kenegdach,
Against you?
against you, yeah.
Maybe? In context.
And then this next part is the same part of the same clause. V'ima malta b'Torah yesh lo sachar harbe liten lach.
If you toil in Torah,
Yeah, and if you toil in Torah, actually, technically speaking, it's if you toiled in Torah. Yeah.
okay. So now it says yesh lo, which is
Yes.
key,
Okay,
but
good. I'm glad you caught that.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually, when Isaiah and I were learning this, we totally missed that for the first like 40 minutes, and didn't notice it until one of the Mepharshim like explained it, spelled out the implication. So what would you say yesh lo?
He has.
Yeah, he has. Okay, so, and I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's capital H. He has
Okay.
yeah, Sachar Harbe Litin Lach.
A lot of reward to give you.
Lot of reward to give you. Okay, so I'm going to post this in the chat. Okay, so what are the questions and problems here? Whoa. Yeah, Ayala.
How do all these three phrases relate to each other?
Okay, good.
Specifically, how does the middle one fit?
Yes, okay, good. Exactly. So how do these three clauses relate to one another? Especially the middle one, okay, which seemingly doesn't have to do with involvement in Torah. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, Vanessa.
In the last sentence, why you would expect a parallel structure, but it's not so parallel.
Yeah,
Would
okay, that's a good
expect
question.
if you don't do Torah, you'll have an Avera or something against you, but it's not.
So, yeah,
You
why?
kind of expect reward and punishment, and that's not what's happening really.
Right. What do we make of the like non-parallel third clause, right? It should say if you abstain from Torah, you'll have many betalim against you. Okay, and then what would you expect the second half to say? And if you what?
You toil in Torah, you'll have a lot of reward for you.
Well, that's what it says, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that it doesn't seem to be
But it's
parallel.
it's hard to articulate. I'm also very confused by how we're translating this, so I'm trying to not get lost.
If there's something that I could do to simplify it, let me know, because
it's just hard.
I know visually it's weird to put all these things in, but I also want to keep this. So I would say if you abstain from Torah, you have many betalim against you, and if you toil in Torah, you'll have many like, I don't know, like assisters to help you. But if you abstain, it gets harder, and if you involve yourself, it gets easier. Or you could say, if you abstain from Torah, you will receive lots of punishment. Okay, right? Or if you, or I guess, miss out on reward. Okay, etc.
That's more. That was the one I was going for, which is why I was confused.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah, Lauren.
I guess like just a definition question. What does he mean by asec? And like the opposite, like in Torah in this context.
Okay, what does involvement mean in the first, in clause 1a, and what does it mean to be involved in Torah in clause 1b? Yeah, I mean I know it's also clearly a intentional usage of like the parallels. It is funny, by the way, he does, maybe this is a question also, he does change the verb in the last clause, amel b'Torah. So I'm just going to add that at the end. What is the difference between asik b'Torah, right? That's involvement, and amal amel b'Torah, is toiling.
And to
Yeah,
add on, like also be Pelta in the Torah.
Right. Yeah. So what is, where do I put this here? What does bittul Torah mean in this context? Yeah. We also should put the question that I raised when we were translating, which is, what does mima'it mean? To reduce or to make minimal, and either way, what does this mean practically? Yeah, Ayala?
So how does the last clause work? Is it, I mean, yeah.
Okay, that's a fair way to ask it. How does the last clause work? Yeah. Yeah, Vanessa?
What does it mean to be shafal ruach practically? And also just how is it different from being, why not another word? Why not humble? Why not
Yeah. Okay,
there's
what
something
does
different.
it mean to be shafal ruach practically? Okay, and then like how do we differentiate this from anav, humble? Okay. Yeah, Ayala?
Also specifically, what is it adding when it says bifnei kol adam,
right.
like as opposed to, I guess, what, before Hashem maybe?
Okay. So does this ring a bell for anyone? Heavy shval ruach? Yeah, so we
Isn't it
did
in another mishnah in like the second chapter maybe?
it's a good question. Is it in this second chapter or did we do it? I think this
I
is
think
one
we
that
did.
is it in our, hold on a second, shval ruach. You might be right.
I don't remember what
Oh,
chapter,
no,
but I
it's
think
in
we
this
did.
chapter. It could have been, it was before the summer that we did this. I remember I avoided this for a very long time. Why did I avoid this? Oh, because we did the Rambam's whole essay on humility. And then we didn't do this one in depth, but Rabbi Levitas says, Me'od me'od have shval ruach, shetikvas anosh rima. Be very, very low spirited because the hope of man is worms. I do remember doing that one. All right, so the question is, I'm going to make this into a different question here, which is we already had Rabbi Levitas in in Avos 4:4 say Me'od me'od shval ruach, right? What does this add by what does this add? What does Rabbi Meir add by adding, what does Rabbi Meir add by adding bifnei kol adam? And then I was saying as opposed to what? Yeah, but I'm going back to this Rabbi Levitas because he says it in an unqualified manner. So why is Rabbi Meir? What do we get out of this qualification? Yeah. Again, we already asked how does this fit in. Yeah, I think we do need to understand. I mean, I think you could break down Ayala's last question. How does this last clause work? So what is it? We already asked what that means. Hold on just a second here. Yeah. So then what are these betalim? Sorry, betalim. Can't type something. Betalim. And what does it mean that they are kenegdach against you? Yeah, Vanessa?
Not who cares, but you kind of expect it to be like, oh, if you track from Torah, something will happen. And then it's like, oh, if you don't do that thing, like it'll stand against you that like you didn't do the thing. Like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
And like
that's a good point.
intuitively we know, like, okay, don't like abstain from Torah, like fine, but like
Yeah, right.
you
That's a good question. That pairs well with the question about the opposites. That you expect punishment. Okay, fine. I don't want punishment, right? So okay, so what? Is this really just telling us that if you don't learn Torah, then you won't learn Torah? You know? Yeah. That's a good question. Anyone have a way to formulate the question on the last part of the last clause? I feel like there's something weird. Yesh lo sachar harbe litein lach. Yeah, Vanessa?
I was thinking it. I don't have a full answer, but we could also just ask the easier question of like, why are we only bringing in Hashem at the end? Like, why
Yeah,
are we
and
not
it doesn't
bringing
even
him in?
mention him by name, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So why in the final clause do we suddenly bring in Hashem and not even by name? Yeah, Tamar?
What's the like meaning of saying it in this weird way? Like it's not really a question of like Hashem's ability, and then also like, is he going to do it or he just has it?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like,
I think that's what's bothering me is like, why doesn't why does it just say he has a lot of reward to give you? Okay. Why not say he will reward you? Right? Like it's like if you went to a job to an employer and he said, I'm willing to do the X amount of work for 5 hours, and the guy says, oh, that's perfect, I'll have a lot of money to give you. You'd be like, wait, can I get this a contract? Like, are you actually going to give me the money? So yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, Vanessa?
It's kind of the way you talk to a kid. Like the whole clause, like, if you do this bad thing, like, we'll know you did the bad thing. And if you do the good thing, there are like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of goodness out for you if you do the good thing. And it's just
Right.
like putting it out there and like letting the little kid like feel like he has some agency and saying, if you do this, I'm going to punish you.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. I think that's kind of in part of your so what question, like, okay, yeah, you're just telling me the two activities. Okay, I think those are the main questions. I guess we do have to ask our question of who is the audience here. Just 1 second. The alignment always gets messed up. Okay, so who is the intended audience? Okay, is this specifically for Hasidim in training, or for all people, and to what degree? Yeah, Ella?
What reward is it talking about at the
Yeah,
end?
we did not ask that. That's true. What is this reward of which he speaks? Yeah, Vanessa?
What's the Havamina? And that's going to tie into our audience question, but like, Jews should learn Torah is like kind of obvious, especially
Yeah.
especially in the context of like this is usually for a chassid in training, and like that might not pan out. Like maybe this is for like a wider audience, but like,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you're trying to say learn Torah, just say learn Torah. Like
What
this is a
is-
really roundabout way to go about this. So what is
the Havamina of each clause? Okay, i.e., what would we have thought if Rabbi Meir didn't teach us this? Teaches this. Yeah, Tamar?
I guess like what's the relationship? Maybe somebody asked this already, I'm not sure. What's the relationship between the work and everything else? And specifically, what's the relationship between minimizing your work and learning? I mean, I guess you could say it's your time, but I feel like there's maybe a question there.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put that into the first question. Is also, what is the relationship between between minimizing work and these other things? And then I'm also going to ask, I'll ask this here, which is, why does Rabbi Meir need to say, minimize work, when Rabbi Yochanan, was it Yonasan, just talked about the work learning balance? I mean, he seemed to have said, I guess, what is Rabbi Meir adding? Yeah, Vanessa?
the first clause feels kind of redundant the more I think about it. Why not just say like expand your Torah learning? Like why say minimize work and learn Torah? Like clearly we're not minimizing work for pleasure. Like that seems kind of obvious.
Right. Yeah, how do I put this in the question here? Let's say, what if the message is just, learn more Torah, then just say that, and and it should be understood that you'll have to compromise other things. Yeah. Okay, so I think the best course of action here is, instead of us trying to answer it on our own, I think we should go to the Mefarshim, mostly because of time, and also mostly because of time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do what we did last week, which is read Rashi and Rambam and then Rabbeinu Yona, and kind of treat Rabbeinu Yona as the main commentary, because once again, Rabbeinu Yona explains every clause, whereas Rambam also kind of does. I do want to read all three of them, though, and kind of like work on them together, but with the Rambam as the focus. Okay, and I translated some of these myself ahead of time, and once again, I actually no, I have an excuse this time. I got a phone call, and I could not translate the rest of it on my own, so I got ChatGPT to do it. Okay, so Rashi says, heavy. Oh, sorry. Let me put the questions into the chat. All right, this was going to take 3 copies and pastes, I'm sure. 1. I'll do it in 3 anyway. I'll probably do it in 2, but I'm not going to try to figure it out. Can't beat this. 2. And then is this gonna get messed up with all the letters? We'll find out. Nope. And 3. Okay. Okay, so Rashi says, "Hevi might asek." Okay, some versions of the Mishnah say ma'et. Asik derech eretz. So this is involvement in making a living. Okay, literally the way of the land, but derech eretz means like, earning a living. Im bataltem in Torah yitzcha betelim harbe. If you neglect Torah, you will have many causes of neglect. Again, that's how I translated it, but whatever, betelim. So what does he say? Kama v'kama dvarim yavo l'chal shetibatel mehem. Many things will come to you that will cause you to neglect them. Now, I don't know if this is a bad Rashi. Them is a little weird. You would expect to say neglect it. Okay, so I don't know what to make of that. Okay, but the point is that he's learning betelim as things, okay, that cause you to neglect Torah, to neglect. Okay, so hold that thought. Again, we're going to do Rambam now. He says, Amar ma'at ma'et b'schora ushkod al Torah. So minimize your business, and be diligent in Torah. V'heyesh fal ruach bifnei kol adam, and be lowly before every person. Rotzon lomar. This means to say, shelo tiyeh shfal ruach bifnei hagedolim bilvad. Not only should you be lowly in the presence of those who are great, ella bifnei kol adam, but in the presence of every person. Ad, to the extent, she'im teshev im eze adam sheteshev. If you sit with any person whatsoever, ye diburcha ilav v'chevrasacha imo ki'ilu gadol b'ma'ala mimecha. Your speech with him and your like companionship, your friendship with him, camaraderie maybe, should be as if he is on a higher level than you. V'zeh kulu livruach min agava, and all of this is in order to flee from haughtiness, as we explained. Okay, and that's probably as he explained in Rabbi Levitas. Then the last one is inyan betelim harbe shisham devarim harbe omdim betelim. Okay, I had a hard time translating this. There are many. No, I don't like this. Sorry. Oh, I modified the ChatGPT translation, but I didn't do it here. Is that there are many things that are batel, right? Like null. I'll just say null. Okay. Omdim talim. Hold on. I'm trying to retranslate this whole phrase. There are many null, devarim batalim, okay, like, I mean, people say devarim is like waste of time, okay, or time wasting things. That's probably a better translation. Time wasting, or pointless things. Okay, let's say pointless things. Hard to translate devarim batalim. Okay, waiting. Okay, yitztarchu mishisasku, in need of someone to be occupied with them. V'im lo tisasek b'Torah, and if you don't involve yourself in Torah, I think that ya'asikacha be'achad me'osam dvarim, they will make you involved in one of these things. Okay, so like the imagery here is like predatory time wasters that are just like waiting to claw at you, and they'll just latch onto you and like, take you away from Torah. Okay, so that's the Rambam. Okay, now, continuing with the plan, we'll do Rabbeinu Yona, and then we'll stop and think and analyze. Okay. So Rabbeinu Yona says, and I'm not saying that they're the same, by the way, but okay, Rabbeinu Yona. Oops, this is too big. Is this too big? That was all right. I just made the font bigger or whatever. Rabbeinu Yona says, "Remir Omer Hevi Mamad basically also Torah Shetase Malachta Arai V'Torah Keva." Your work should be secondary, and your Torah study should be primary. Now that is a reference to a mishnah in the first chapter of Avos, not a direct quote, but Shammai says, "Aseh Torah Keva." Make your Torah. Keva literally means like permanent or like a fixture. Okay, make your Torah a fixture. And this is like the language that we use by halachos of sukkah, where if you have a chilas arai, like a transient casual eating, then you could eat outside of the sukkah. But if it's an achilas keva, it's like a fixed permanent eating that you eat in the sukkah. Yeah, Vanessa?
Okay, for some reason that Mishnah was like on the tip of my tongue while we were going
Yeah.
through questions, and I couldn't figure it out. And it's
It's
because of
good.
the last clause. It's because of the Yafot Panim, something like that you should greet everyone with a pleasant countenance. Because it kind of also had this weird disjointed thing with the rest of the clauses, and you kind of had to connect them. And I think we have the reverse happening here, where like it's in the middle, but we're supposed to go from like Torah learning to how you're greeting other people. And we're supposed to have the intersection of those two ideas come in.
That is interesting. That's good. Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why it was in my head because it wasn't the same phrase, but it's the same
Yeah,
idea.
that's funny.
Because like a pleasant countenance and like a humble spirit, like they kind of go
Yeah,
hand in
here.
hand.
Yeah, and the ma'at, say little and do a lot. Yeah, that's an interesting observation there. Okay. I haven't seen anyone make that connection, but that is I can't deny the connection. Okay. Yeah, so your work should be secondary and your Torah should be primary. Okay, now since we just got here, okay, maybe we'll do a little idea here. Anyone familiar with my with this idea? I feel like I've said this idea a lot. Okay, we're gonna do a little detour here. Okay, the Rambam
In regards
says
to
something
what?
on this. What was that?
In regards to what?
In regards to Shammai. Okay, so let me just do this detour. This is a worthwhile idea to do. And this is actually an idea from Rabbi Chait. Let me just put this here. Okay, so Avos 1, what is it? 1:15 says, Shammai over Aseh Torah Keva. Okay, which obviously says more than that, but we're only going to do that one. So, yucky. Okay, Avos 1:15. Okay, so Shammai says, make your Torah keva, so permanent or a fixture, okay, or like the essence. Okay, so now we got this Rambam, and this is a bit of a wacky sounding Rambam at first glance. Okay, let me just do Rambam here. Okay, so Okay, Rambam says, okay, so he says like this, and for anyone who's involved in anything other than Torah in your life, then listen up. All right, so Amar, he said, he said, say Talmud Torah ha'ikar, make Torah study be the main thing, v'chol ma shezulas me'is kacha, and all of your other endeavors ba acharav, come after it. Okay, here's where he says this troubling line: Im he's damin. If they happen, they happen. V'im lo he's damin, and if they don't happen, ein nezek b'hach matzaso, then there is no damage in their not happening. Okay, there's no harm. There's no harm in their not happening. Yeah. So what on the surface is weird about that statement? Yeah, Ayala?
Not having food to eat kind of sounds like a harm to me.
Yeah. So this sounds like, a like I don't know if this is how people use it, but I want to say it, pie in the sky, like plan, just don't worry about work, and there will be no harm in not getting work, right? Sounds delusional, especially for Rambam, right? Like there are definitely things in Judaism that or among Jewish thinkers that seem to say like just what's I mean, not just things in Judaism, but that's anyone know the machlokas between Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai about work and Torah? Okay, I wish I could quote where this is from, but I can't, and I don't want to try to find it. Tamar?
I was gonna try and recall it, but I
Yeah,
probably
sure.
don't remember as well.
All right, fine.
So
Okay.
I think I remember that you covered this sometime.
Yeah, I feel like I did also.
Maybe in the making money from Torah here, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it was that Rabbi Yishmael said you should work and you should learn, and Shimon Bar Yochai said no, you should only learn, and then like God will provide for you. I forgot exactly how he says it, and then the Gemara says many tried like Rabbi Yishmael and succeeded, and many tried like Shimon Bar Yochai and failed. So like there is a level where you can do this, and God will arrange for your food to come to you. Okay, but that does not sound like what the Rambam is advocating. Okay, so how do you answer this question? What is the Rambam saying here? Yeah, Vanessa?
The way I read it, it's like it's not that you can't work, it's more just that like it should be something to like supplement Torah. Like Torah should be the reason why you're doing all the things you're doing. Like if you're trying to eat food, if you're asking for health, it should be so that you have the strength to further learn Torah and connect to Hashem. And
Okay, so that's very good for the first part of the Rambam. But what about if they happen, they happen. If they don't happen, then there's no harm. I mean, this is good. I think what you said is good for the first part, though. Yeah, Lauren, did you have an explanation?
Sorry. I mean, I was thinking maybe it's like wants versus needs. Like maybe he's not talking about the things that are absolute needs, but maybe just like things that you're busy with. The things that like you need will get done,
Yeah.
but everything else is kind of
Okay,
like
that's an entirely reasonable interpretation, which is that the Rambam is not talking about all your stuff. If you're starving to death, obviously you need to get food, but he's talking about things that are beyond the basic needs. Okay, so that's totally plausible also. So I'm just going to share with you, since this is not our focus, I'll share with you my recollection of Rabbi Chait's answer, which was the second half of the Rambam is not stating how do I put it? Hold on. A prediction. Okay. Rather, it's giving you a barometer, okay, to test whether you have made your Torah keva. Okay. So in other words, I'll use an example that is because I usually like talk about this with yeshiva students, is there are yeshiva students who are in college at the same time, and they have a big test coming up, and they're worried that if they stick to all of their chavrusas and their shiur, then like they're gonna get a bad grade on the test, and that's gonna be like a disaster, But that's one way to look at it. Okay. The other way to look at it is if I put in all this work into this test, I'm going to miss shiur, and that's going to be a disaster. So what is the real one? If you're looking at it the first way, you're really looking at your primary realm of harm and benefit as your livelihood, and your Torah like comes after the fact. But if you make your Torah ikar, so then that is the main place where you find meaning and where you have harms and losses, and you're obviously trying to do your business deals, and if they come together, great, but if they don't, there's no real harm. I mean, it almost reminds me of the Marcus Aurelius meditations thing of the only thing that can harm a person is that which makes him a worse person, and Torah really is what makes us human, like that's where that our real benefit is gaining knowledge, and our real harm is harming our knowledge and our development as people, so that's what the Rambam is telling you, is that's how you know whether your Torah is keva. Okay, so I'm comfortable saying, by the way, that when Rabbeinu Yona says this, he is alluding to Shammai, and I'm sure Rabbeinu Yona has good commentary on Shammai also, but I'm good with treating this as what he means here. Okay, so that's this first part. I didn't mean to stop and analyze this now, but it just sort of happened. Yeah, Lauren?
can you just clarify like this barometer, or like how Rebbe's idea fits into the words of that second half of the Rambam?
Yeah, so it's it's very simple. Okay, instead of a semicolon, it's a colon. Okay. Make Torah study the main thing, and all your other endeavors come after it. Colon. Meaning, if they happen, they happen. If they don't happen, then there's no harm in they're not happening. That's what it would mean to make your Torah the main thing and everything come after it. Let me just really quickly, actually, see if I can look it up in the write-up of Rebbe's commentary on Pirkei Avos, which for some reason I always forget to consult when we're doing this. The write-ups are pretty verbatim for the tape. Yeah. Okay. So he says, just gonna go down to the Rambam. Maimonides says, make the Torah the essence, and all other pursuits should follow after it. Ibn Tibbon learned this to mean that all other pursuits should support Torah. Okay. So that's like what Vanessa was saying. Maimonides adds, if one is successful in other pursuits, so be it. And if one is not successful, this is also fine. Maimonides means that in all pursuits other than Torah, one must not feel disappointed if he is not successful, since all other pursuits were in fact never his true goal. All pursuits aside from Torah must be sought as mere support for one's Torah study. In the perfected life, there are no disappointments. One naturally engages in activities that will help him reach a higher level. And even if one sins, then he repents. But there's no place for disappointment. Oh, look, Rebbe's saying mitzvah gadol lios b'simcha tamid. No, he's not saying that. But that is why Maimonides says, if you succeed, so be it. But if you do not, this is inconsequential. Disappointment reveals that the matter that one sought other than Torah was the essence. That's what I mean by barometer. That if you view this as a harm, then that means that you're viewing the business as the main thing, not the Torah. Learning Torah is not goal-oriented. One learns to enjoy the experience, even a question. This is the proper relationship to Torah study. Okay, I think he did say it differently on the tape, but yeah. Okay, Lauren, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I understand. So he's like saying that, like, regards to all other things, that they happen, they happen. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay, so next in Rabbi Yona, be lowly before every person. Okay, now again, this is ChatGPT, so I'm going to translate this myself. This is also regarding Torah. Okay, so he's acknowledging our question that this is not unrelated. This has to do with Torah. The Alkain, therefore, Nemar besoch divrei Torah. That's why it's said in the middle of teachings about Torah. Lomar, to say, Gam ki tatzliach b'Torah shehi hamala hamitis. Even if you succeed in Torah, which is the highest level, the true virtue, the true level, I think this might be a typo. I think it should be lotus gaia. You should not become haughty. All the more so, these other virtues, these other, how does he say it here? Accomplishments. Okay, fine. Yeah, virtues, accomplishments that are foreign and physical, they're not proper to be haughty over. Okay, so right, first of all, he's not explaining what it means yet. He's saying, why do you need to be told this now? Because it's saying, okay, minimize your business and go all out on Torah. Okay, but if you succeed in Torah, don't become haughty. Okay, and certainly don't become haughty about other nonsense. Okay, let's see what he says practically. Even in front of people who are lowly and are degraded and degenerate. Okay, why? To distance yourself from haughtiness. And certainly you should be lowly in front of people who are equal to you. Okay, so it's a slight difference from the Rambam. The Rambam says you should be indiscriminate in your shval ruachness and your lowliness. Rabbi Yona is saying you should even be lowly with people who are like utterly degenerate and like you should not deserve it. Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording for a second. I don't know if I have to, but okay, whatever. Weird example that came to my mind. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Not even gonna record this one. Okay, anyway. Yeah. All right. So why? Same reason as the Rambam, which is to distance yourself from arrogance. Yeah. Okay, so that's connecting it to so this is answering our question about what is he adding to Rabbi Levitas. So Rabbi Levitas was actually talking about the virtue of low-spiritedness in general, okay? And it's ma'od havishval ruach because, like the Rambam explained, it's not enough to be humble. You have to go all the way to the opposite extreme. And so if you want to know why that's a good trait, then look at Rabbi Levitas. But what Rabbi Meir is invoking this for is to extend it to Torah and to say even being haughty about Torah is something that you should like avoid. Like Torah is the real involved. Like, in other words, it's very easy to look at all the people who are not involved in Torah and say, I'm living the real life, and what I'm doing is actually like, what it means to be human, and like they're not involved in that. It's easy to do that, but no, if you did that, it's true. But if you did that, that would make you haughty, and that is bad. So you have to go to the opposite extreme and treat even people who don't learn Torah and who are drunkards and who are like, bad mitos people, treat them as if they're higher than you to combat your own ego. So it is artificial, okay? It's not like, because we say that I mean, I don't know what the source of this is other than I got this from Rabbi Moskowitz, but like the definition of humility in Torah is not a negative self-image. The definition of humility is having an accurate understanding of yourself. So if you ask Moshe Rabbeinu, who we say is more humble than anyone, if you say, Moshe, are you the greatest prophet? He wouldn't say, oh shucks, no, I'm not. He'd say, yeah, but he would say yeah in the same way as if you asked him, what color is your hair? It'd be like stating a fact. So he wouldn't like get a sense of like, and I'm better than you, like that kind of thing from it. It would just be like, this is a fact in reality. So, but shval ruach is artificial. You are supposed to go to this opposite extreme. I actually just want to read in the Rambam and Deos before I call on you, Vanessa. When the Rambam is describing how to go to the opposite extreme of haughtiness, he says, interesting. It doesn't say, wait, no. No. Huh. Huh. Where does he say it? Oh, maybe you. Somewhere he says like you should sit lower than everyone and wear like worn out clothing and stuff like that. So in other words, we are talking about doing external things to put you into that mentality, not just like having a realistic understanding of yourself. I don't know why I can't find it. Okay, yeah, Vanessa.
I know you don't want to do a full analysis, but just to get my bearings, what's
Yeah.
the difference between the Rambam saying you should be shval ruach and what the Rabbi Yona saying?
I'm saying that they are sorry, yeah, I mean here. Yeah, so the Rambam said not only should you be lowly in the presence of those who are great, but in the presence of every person. Right? It's not just great, but every person. And Rabbi Yona says not just every person, but even the low.
I hear it, but I don't understand like what the difference is practically. Like it kind of feels
Right.
like Rabbi Yona saying like Nebach, like, okay, I see a drunkard. Like, no, I'm actually there's so much like that's I don't know. I'm not understanding what Rabbi Yona is saying so totally.
Yeah,
I don't get how it's different.
I don't know if there's a practical difference, but it is different in the way he's saying it. So I think it's worth thinking about. Yeah, Lauren?
I don't know if this reading is right, but I guess the way is he saying that like because like you're dedicating yourself to Torah, there's like a danger in the fact that could lead you to fuel your ego because of now that you're being so involved in Torah, and therefore you need to go to be very shafal ruach in front of everybody.
Yeah, so
that
that part is definitely something that Rambam is saying that Rambam is not. I think Vanessa was asking about the who is Kol Adam. So Rambam is saying Kol Adam means
No, actually, that's my question, and that sounded more like what the Rambam was saying. I think I'm just confused.
Well, it's okay. So two differences between Rambam and Rabbi Yona. Difference number one is Rambam does not explain what this is doing in the Mishnah.
Okay.
And Rabbi Yona says that you might become haughty because of Torah, and that's why this is in the Mishnah. Second difference is Rambam says Kol Adam means every person, not just Gedolim. And Rabbi Yona says every person means not just equals, but even lowly people. And I'm saying the fact that they say two different things means, to me, implies that there is some difference, but I don't know if I can say what that is. Yeah, Tamar?
You're saying that they're talking to different Havaminas, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, Rambam's Havamina is, you should only be low spirited with people who are higher than you, but not with every person. And Rabbi Yona seems to be, you think that you'd already be low spirited with every person, but not these garbage people. And no, you should.
Okay, I think I'm just confused by Rambam Yona's Havamina, but I think having it, like having a question that's makes sense to me is good enough for now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go onward. Now, this part is weird. Okay. And remember, this is ChatGPT, so don't necessarily listen to it. Im batalta min haTorah yesh lecha harbe batelim kenegdach. Elu harisha'im hadovim v'ha'arayos habavatlim mimalacha. These are the wicked people, the bears and the lions. Okay, you got to assume this means figurative. Okay, that are batal from malacha, that are idle from work. Okay, shevet mochiach lakadosh baruch hu. They are an instrument of rebuke that God uses. V'nifra behem min habatelim mitalmud Torah, and God will punish those who are batal from Talmud Torah through these people. Ki lo biyado rote l'shalem. God does not want to give you your punishment with his hand. Ach al yedei acherim b'midas hapuranos, but through others, through the mode of retribution. Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually here. I am going to summarize here. Okay. Just so we can get it straight here. Okay. Is according to Yona, these batalim, okay, batalim, batalim does not, does not refer to things that cause you to be idle, but rather to people who are idle. Okay, and he's saying that if you neglect Torah, God will use these people to punish you, because he doesn't want to punish you himself. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know. Very weird. But we have to finish the last clause and then we can analyze. Okay, so the last clause is and I can see why where he's getting this from. Okay, so as we read this next one, you'll ask yourself, where is he getting from that these are like this whole thing? Like these are people, that are wicked that God's going to use to punish you. So if you toil in Torah, then he has a lot of reward to give you. God himself, in his glory, will give reward to those who delve into his Torah. Lo aide malach, lo aide shaliach. Okay, this is all Haggadah language. Not through an angel, not through an agent. Ubezehu mavtiach l'chol bai olam ki apuranus mevi al yidei sholchav lahakel hadavar ki lo kitzurin tzuram. And this is what he promises to all those who come into the world, that retribution comes through God's agents, lahakel hadavar, to ease the burden, to make it lighter, because our rock is not like their rock. Ach shalom rav, he gets very poetic. Ach shalom rav la'ovei sorso, v'sachar tov li'areav. Okay, but there is peace, great peace to those who love his Torah, and good reward to those who fear him. Al yado mishalim lahem. They get rewarded by God himself, not through others, in order to give them more reward. So in other words, just to pause here, he's saying that when God punishes people, he punishes through agents, and they will go easy on you. But when he rewards you, then he rewards you himself, okay, because he could be generous. Okay, and then he'll give a mashal. Mashal melech she'asalo uman kli nai. So parable to a king who was a craftsman, made him a beautiful object, beautiful tool. Tzivav amar hamelech la'abadav she'yikachu me'otzro ma'os ulefaro inyan yafe. So the king commanded his servants, go to my bank and get money and reward him generously. V'lo pachos yitnu lo mishi'im hamelech ba'atmo hu hayaporo. Won't they give less than if the king himself gave? Because their hearts are not as generous as the heart of the king with his abundant wealth and honor. And their nature in generosity is not like his nature. And even if they give from the money of the king, they're going to give much less than the kings give. Al yado rota litain lahagdil hasachar lahadir. So too, God wants to give ample reward in order to increase he wants to give it himself in order to increase the reward and glorify it. Okay, so what caused Rabbeinu Yona to take this weird route for these like idlers? Yeah, Ayala?
Maybe to deal with the question that Vanessa asked about how this is the opposite of reward.
Oh,
And it's saying
okay,
it's
that is part of
punishment.
it. Yeah. Take this route and talk about the people whom God will use as instruments of punishment. Okay, so Ayala's answer is to contrast this with the final clause about reward. Okay, I think that's good. I think there is something else though. And it has to do with the means of punishment. So I think yeah, Ayala.
I was gonna say maybe the language like kenegdach, against you.
Oh, that is definitely true. That is definitely true. It is they are kenegdach. I don't know if that alone would be enough, because then he wouldn't have to call them people. He could just say like things that are mavato you from Torah. You know, the way that like we were learning before, like the Rambam and Rashi learn it as things that are mavato you from Torah. Yeah, let me clarify the question. Why do Rabbeinu take this round and talk about the people whom God uses as instruments of punishment? You know, as opposed to Rashi and Rambam, who take batalim to mean things that cause you to neglect Torah. And let me just put the emphasis here: things versus people. Yeah, Vanessa.
I think when you take the Rashi and Rambam doesn't answer the question of like the who cares question of like, okay, you're about to Torah, but what does that do for you? If you know like, oh, that's gonna cause like that batalim is going, or like isn't just some standing thing out there that like exists on your credit, it's and you're getting actual punishment coming through that.
Right.
I think that makes more sense.
That definitely does. Yeah, that definitely does help. To give us an answer to the so what. Yeah. I'm not convinced. By the way, I thought your question was good. I'm not convinced that you need an answer depending on who the Torah, who the Mishnah is talking to. I'll just say it now. Just get it on the table. I think it's clear that the Torah, the Pirkei Avos is talking to people who already value Torah. So I think they will care if they have things that stop them from learning Torah. I think for the average person, then you would need to promise them like reward in some way. Yeah, Tamar?
Maybe one of the things that's going on here is the yesh lecha versus yesh lo.
Yeah, that's it. Right. So is Rabbeinu Yona is picking up on the if you toil in Torah, he has much reward to give you, which implies that God himself is rewarding you with a lot, but the punishment is not coming from God. Okay, it's coming from it's coming from God, but not directly from God. Coming directly from God, but through his agents, i.e., these batalim. Yeah, Vanessa.
Okay, I think I understand part of my confusion before, and then I have a question clarifying it. So we're not saying that like if you're Bittul Torah, then like there's like it's not. I was reading this as like, oh, okay, if you're Bittul Torah, then like those batalim like add up and it like shows like, hey, I was Bittul Torah. But no, you're saying it causes other things to happen. In which case, I have a more basic question of like how does being Bittul Torah cause more things to like come? It sounds like a.
So I think that's why Ayala just asked, how does the last clause work? Like, what's
Okay.
the cause and effect? Yeah. Now, but just to be clear about Rabbeinu Yona here, is Rabbeinu Yona is not saying that there are going to be things that cause you not to learn. He's saying that that all the people who don't do work are going to be used to punish you for not being involved in Torah. Okay. So now we have a question on Rabbeinu Yona. Okay. Question on Rabbeinu Yona. So just review here. Okay. Because that was a lot. So first clause we understand. Make Torah keva and make your malacha arai, which means make Torah into the main thing, and everything that you do working wise is in service of the Torah. Okay, that's good. Second clause, I think we understand, or at least in part, which is don't become haughty in your Torah. Okay, rather distance yourself from haughtiness to the utmost extreme, because haughtiness is bad for all the reasons that we said in Mishnah 4:4. And the way you should practice this is with other people. Okay, and treat other people, even degenerates, as you shouldn't treat yourself as lowly, vis-a-vis them. Okay. And then we have, if you neglect Torah, God will use the people who are idlers from work to punish you, because God doesn't want to do it himself. But if you toil in Torah, then God will reward you personally with a lot of reward, because that way he can be more generous, just like a king will be more generous when he rewards people. So the question on Rambam, and one question is, why does Rabbi Meir suggest the technique of combating haughtiness, gava, through making yourself lowly before the lowest of people? Okay. And then question 2 is, what's this idea of God punishing you through the idlers? Okay. Because he doesn't want to do it himself. Okay, I guess punishing you for bittul Torah. Okay. And then the third question is, what's this idea of God rewarding you directly, okay, to be more generous? And this is where I panicked that I forgot all the ideas I learned with Isaiah. Okay, but so we're gonna have to come up with it on our own. Yeah, tomorrow.
Can I ask like a sub question
Yeah.
of 2, which is like, what are these idlers? I kind of feel like I've heard this in Torah discussions before, but I don't know what this category is. They're like Rishayim, and also they don't work.
Yeah. So I did. Okay, hold on a second here. I think in Mishlei 24. Oops. Oh no. Hold on a second. You guys see the back end of the Buzzsprout podcast. Late. Oops. Oh, maybe it's even more. You know what? I'm not gonna look through. Okay, I'm not gonna look through. What are we up to now? Hold on. I'm not gonna look through 573 Mishlei shiurim to find this. There is so the late is the scoffer, okay, and the mocker. But Chazal also say the late is someone who's Yoshev Kronos, corner sitters, is that they basically don't contribute to society, and instead they just like mock people and speak lashon hara. So there's a shiur I gave where I define what that is, like what that personality trait is. But and maybe we have to understand that in order to understand Rabbi Yona here. But factually, we're just talking about people who are like lazy bums, is what we would call them in our society. Like people who are just not doing anything productive, or let's say like the proverbial 30-year-old who's living in his parents' basement, mooching off of them playing video games. Like that's like those are the people who are going to punish you. And it's weird. I mean, and how is this mida keneged mida, or an appropriate punishment for bittul Torah? Yeah, Lauren.
Could you say that like the second and third clauses are related, like in the sense that like if you're not shafal ruach,
Ooh, interesting.
like as like a punishment, God, and that gets to your head, you're going to be kind of like punished by these people that you think you're so much greater than, and maybe like in some ways you are, but in other ways you're not.
Okay.
And
okay, so interesting thing. So I have a minor objection to that and a major objection. The minor objection is that Rabbeinu Yona used the term shvalim, pchusim, and nivzim, so lowly, degraded, degenerates. Here he uses the term rasha'im and predatory animals who don't work. So it does sound like two different groups of people. But my major objection is this is not a punishment for being arrogant. This is a punishment for not being involved in Torah. and the arrogance came from being involved in Torah.
Okay, yeah, I see that now. Okay.
Yeah, Ayala.
Okay, so this isn't a full idea, but just some thoughts that maybe the punishment of being involved with other people is that when you're not involved in Torah, you're gonna end up spending time with other people who are not involved in Torah. And the
Okay,
other
that's
people who are not involved in Torah are not going to be involved in Chachma, because obviously Torah is Chachma, and so they're gonna face a lot of negative, just cause and effect consequences in the world, and that's gonna be your punishment. And it's indirect because it's just the laws of nature
Okay, good.
versus the reward of Hashem, which is gonna be directly towards you to help you, like, whatever, improve. And then
Yeah.
also, lastly, is the way that it's midah k'neged midah, is you're gonna be just like caught up in this web of like negative, harmful consequences in the world. And like that's just gonna be like that should like clearly make you realize that like, oh, I'm missing chachma, which comes from Torah, and then
Okay,
you're
good.
gonna end up
Okay,
learning
great
Torah.
answer. Good. Yeah. So this is the answer to the third question is definitely what Isaiah and I came up with. But I don't know what we said, if we said anything for the second answer, but I like your answer. So let's just summarize here. So actually I'm going to start with the third, because I think it's easier to understand the positive and then what you're missing when you do the negative. So if you involve yourself in Torah, okay, God will reward you directly, okay, because I'm just going to quote the Rambam here. Ein tachlis ha'emes ella l'das shehu emes. Okay, which is the only purpose of truth is the knowledge that it is true. Okay, meaning knowledge is intrinsically valuable. Okay, and also like brings all other goods. Okay, so if you involve yourself in Torah, the Torah itself will directly make you a better person, which is, in abundance, right? In abundance, i.e. many ways. And that is God rewarding you directly. Okay. Is that directly through engaging in your design. I mean, we there's many ways to say this, but like, your intellect is called the glory of God, because it's the part of you that can reflect God's greatness, okay, etc. Okay, but if you abstain from Torah, you will be hanging around a lot of people who are also not involved in Chachma, and as a result, they will have very bad midos and conduct, and you'll be subject to that within the laws of nature. Okay, that's God punishing you indirectly, because you're removing yourself from his influence. Okay, his influence, and whatever happens. And then the reason why this is midah k'neged midah, is that a person who can know Torah and its value, but neglects it, will realize that all this stuff is happening to him by people like this because of this void, because of this like lack of chachma. Chachma, and that will cause him to seek chachma. I mean, you could be even more poetic and say that that's why he compares them to animals, because animals are just lacking chachma, and they're vicious when they lack chachma. I mean, not when they lack. Predatory animals are always vicious, but like a human being who lacks Torah is a vicious animal. Just going based on their emotions and like without any regards to harming other people, so that's like, this is what happens to you if you become without chachma. Yeah, Ayala.
Just want to add about the line that God's punishing you indirectly because you're removing yourself from his influence, and whatever happens.
Yeah.
I would say that it's not whatever happens. It's that Hashem specifically set up the world in a way where chachma also gets you good outcomes, kind of. Like that didn't have to be the case. Like it's yeah.
What I mean by whatever happens is in terms of the fate that you suffer. I am saying that the giving of the chachma is direct. But in other words, let me think about it for 1 second here.
But I think even the fate that you suffer is because, like, anytime that you're not living a lifestyle of chachma, you will suffer this fate, like a negative fate.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
I guess you could
I don't
say
think we're
there's a
at,
shama of flourishing, but
yeah, I don't think we're at odds here. I'm saying whatever happens in the sense that I'm trying to say God is not directing this punishment to you. That this is through his agents, you know, and yeah, it is a result of the lack of chachma. Yeah, I don't think we're disagreeing here. Yeah, Vanessa.
I don't like all of this makes sense, but why do we need this mishnah to tell us learn Torah, that's a good thing? Like, don't not learn Torah, that's a bad thing. Like, isn't this kind of obvious?
Okay, we'll try to tackle that at the end. We still have
Okay.
one more clause here. Yeah, Lauren.
I guess why do you say the last part, like that a person who can know Torah but neglects it? Are you trying to like differentiate between
Yeah, because
types of people?
I'm saying that I don't think it is going to function as a mida keneged mida punishment for someone who does not realize how much chachma it positively improves your life. I think for him it'll just be like, you know, this is how people are.
Got it. So it's like people that are on the level that they could be involved in
Yeah.
Torah all day, but
Yeah,
they
and that's
choose
going with
to
my
not.
whole theory that this whole mission is directed to people who are involved in Torah. Yeah. So let's see if we can. I think actually, Lauren, maybe we can now answer your question. Of, in other words, you know, you were saying that maybe you get punished mida connected mida because you didn't honor. Oh, sorry, you didn't make yourself shval ruach in front of these lowly people, and now God's going to use lowly people to punish you. So I pointed out that that's not stated as a punishment for neglecting the second clause, but for neglecting the third clause. But maybe that's what Rabbi is trying to do, is that maybe the method of, oh, I had it in my head. Yeah, so why this method of combating yourself by making yourself lowly in front of the lowest of people? I think this is actually a separate idea. I don't think we have to connect this to the last clause.
Yeah, I think I keep going back to like you said that another is really realizing your place in reality in the
Yeah,
world. And there's this good like I think Rav Schechter's son said that Rav Schechter like says that like everybody just all people just go to the bathroom. Like he's not intimidated by anybody. Which is
yeah,
just like kind of like something to like keep in mind because we build up in our heads, you know, these different people, but at the end of the day, we're also human, you know.
yeah. So what I was saying, and I could be wrong in this, by the way, I was saying that you have the spectrum like this: gaiva, haughtiness; middle is anava, is humility, and then shval ruach is on the opposite extreme. Okay, and so humility is an accurate understanding of yourself, but shval ruach, I'm saying, is on the opposite end from gaiva. And the reason why the Rambam says you need to go all the way to the opposite end is because the drift towards gaiva is so strong that unless you're constantly pushing against it, then you have no hopes of getting actual anava. So in other words, you are always striving for the middle path because the middle path is good, but in action with gaiva and with anger, you need to go to the opposite extreme in action. So I think I'm going to just try this out here. Okay, I think the idea is that the drive for gaiva is so strong, okay, and is so measured by comparison to other people that you need to go out of your way to, like, find excuses to lower yourself in front of the lowest people so that what's the word, not I don't want to say clamp down on the gaiva, so that you, like, fight off the gaiva. I mean, I know I'm being descriptive here. Yeah, Lauren.
Just like another thing to add on is I feel like also, especially if you're all involved in Torah, sometimes the ideas are so esoteric that you kind of get a little bit removed
Yeah,
from the world in a sense. Like, I don't know, I've been listening to some of Rabbi's shiurs and they're very deep and maybe I'm not on the level to fully understand them, but it's just like it kind of brings you out, you know what I mean? And it leads
yeah,
you to be like, then if you're dealing with mundane people like at the grocery store and this, you know, your checkout person, like it's like, oh, who is this person? You know, so it's just like you kind of need to humble yourself in front of everybody to, and even the lowest of the low, to I guess, bring you back, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I just want to give an example for the idea I'm saying is like, if you are the king, and like a baby vomits on you and you say, do you have any idea who I am? You're kind of full of yourself. Like, no, this baby doesn't care who you are, like you might think that you're great because you're a king, but like, no, you're a physical creature just like this baby, So like, I think that experience of being around people who just don't give you any regard, it just experientially is just very good for your ego, because you're going to constantly be asserting, yeah, but I'm great, and like they're just not going to recognize it. Yeah, Ayala?
You just sort of just answered, but I was wondering how you would practically say to do this.
Yeah, so there was an extreme movement. Rapesach is always quoting this. I forgot which school of Musar it was, that they would like specifically do ridiculous things to like embarrass themselves in public, like go to the butcher and like ask for something that butchers don't sell. I don't know, like do weird things like that, or like wear like torn up clothing. And so I think there is a question of how far do you go in this. I'm trying to think of, I think I saw an example of this recently about some I'm not remembering right now. Yeah. Okay, so now let's try to get big picture here. Okay. So grand summary. And then Vanessa will try to answer your question. Okay, so grand summary of ideas in Rabbeinu Yona. Okay, so we have clause number 1 is make Torah keva, make Torah keva. Okay, right. 2 is don't get haughty about your Torah, and use strategies. See, I think he's even saying strategies. I mean, I don't think he would say it's exclusively this, but strategies like have shval ruach bifnei kol adam, extreme strategies, to extremely distance yourself from gava. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying I don't think he means specifically that. For example, we had Akavia ben Halala who says, remember where you came from, where you're going, and who you're going to have to give a judgment and reckoning in front of. You came from a putrid drop, you're going to a place of maggots and worms, and you have to give reckoning in front of God. That also was for humility purposes. I don't think Rabbi Meir is going to say, nah, don't do that. Like, of course, he's going to say, do all the strategies you can, but he's saying, like, this is an important one because our gaiva is sustained by making ourselves feel better than other people, higher than other people. So this is a good strategy. And then 3A is if you neglect Torah, you'll fall in with the crowd of people who don't have Torah, okay, and suffer the consequences of their actions, okay, in addition to becoming more like them, okay. And then 3B is, but if you toil in Torah, God will abundantly reward you himself, i.e., the Torah will perfect you, and you'll reap all the benefits in Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, from that. Okay, so now Vanessa's question is, isn't this obvious? What is the chidush? So do you agree or disagree with the question? And if you agree with the question, then what's the answer? And if you disagree, then that is the answer.
Sorry, someone stepped in. I get that we're answering my question.
Ayala?
I don't know if I can answer for parts 1 and 2, but
Yeah.
I think for parts 3 where it's talking about like not being bittul to, well, maybe I'm applying like just the shot level to Rabbeinu Yona's idea, which is incorrect, but just the idea of like prioritizing Torah learning because of these consequences which will happen, I feel like is like a new thing. Just like making the connection between that.
Yeah. It is a I think mapping out. Yeah, Lauren.
No, go back with Eliyahu. I didn't think.
Okay. I think there is something here that he's doing is he is mapping out like developmental trajectories here, like if you have to make Torah keva. Yeah, give me 1 second. I know I worked this out with Isaiah. Yeah, Vanessa?
I think a different way to ask this question isn't this obvious, but how is this different than the previous Mishnah that like kind of overlap? Like the other one that said
Right.
make Torah keva. What are we learning here that like we didn't learn from Shammai? And what are we learning here that we didn't learn in the previous Mishnah? Because there's
Right.
another thing that overlaps, but I'm fading, so I forget exactly what.
That's a
And
good
I
way to
think
ask the question.
Ayala gave a good answer. That is a different thing, but
Yeah.
the points aren't.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to ask the question. Yeah, that's what I'm sensing also. I'm saying like him putting together these three ideas into one package and saying, well, this is a good route you can take, but it's going to expose you to that danger. And then if you go this way, what's gonna happen to you. And if you go that way, you're gonna get this benefit. Like I feel like that's the chidush is coming from the sum of the parts. Yeah, Tamar?
Yeah, I mean, this maybe is a question, but maybe it will a little bit crystallize what's different about this idea. I'm a little bit not so clear on the mechanism of the. I know we have this explanation of the betalim, causing you harm.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be a different idea, for example, than like your own bad decisions causing you to fail to achieve the consequences you want, or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so let me give an example of this. Is that there are, and I'm gonna give an example of this because I'm trying to think of examples of like people who are like like wolves and well, we don't know anything about wolves, but like lions. That so in our yeshiva, then there are people who have gone into like the finance world, like Wall Street and stuff, and hedge funds. And you can imagine that it's very tempting to get caught up in making that money because you're making a lot of money. But if you compromise Torah, so then who are you? So if you're doing this, like I know a lot of Talmidei Chachamim who like went in, made the money, and then got out, and the reason why is because they always made Torah keva, like they're only making the money so they can be involved in Torah, But let's say you are not being involved in Torah as keva, so now you're going to be falling into that value system with these people, and these people are egomaniacal, they're cutthroat, they will do anything to make extra money, and you're going to be subject to that, and it's going to be a stark reminder of like this is what these people's lives are about, of just who can get more money and who can like do the most ruthless thing to like undercut this other guy so that I can get the deal, and so it is you end up in this like this pit of animals who are vicious, who are like trying to get you, and you're stuck there because you're valuing that, that's what you're coming back to, as opposed to the person who's being Torah keva. You're darting in, making your money, like dealing with these people however you have to, and then getting out. So I don't know if that was what your question was, how it works, but
Yeah, that's
like
really interesting. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, someone else had their hand up. Oh, I can never see the hand on your the color. Yeah, you got to put like a patch of like blue construction paper,
Just
like
black
exactly.
right over there.
Yeah.
Or like risen.
Yeah.
Just the way that you're just saying it, that like you have to dash in and then quickly leave.
Yeah.
It kind of brings me back to number 2 of not getting haughty, because I feel like that almost to me, like I feel like to me that sort of sounds like a better than attitude that you kind of have to have in order to like avoid falling into the trap.
Yeah, right. So that's the delicate balance, I guess, right? Is that like, yeah, that's interesting. Right. So I'm just gonna try to state this here, is the chidush is not from the individual clauses, but from the combination of them, right? So the main idea is to make your Torah keva, okay? Which means that when you work, you'll have to, dart in and out, just to get what you need to sustain your learning, Okay, but that combined with with the real, ma'ala ha'amitis is what he called it, the real virtue, mitis. I think there's one too many yuds in there, whatever. Of being involved in learning might cause you to become haughty. Okay, so you'll have to practice being shval ruach. Being shval ruach with all those people who you're working with, and use them as a use your time with them as an arena for practicing your lowliness. Okay, and then remember the consequence of getting caught up in their value system and becoming like them if you allow yourself to neglect Torah. And remember how much reward of perfection awaits you if you truly toil in the Torah that you made keva. So Vanessa, to answer your question, what's the chidush? I mean, this is mapping out how a person who's involved in Torah should relate to their work and their workplace and their ego in that workplace. So I think it is an interesting move, though. I don't know if I've seen this before, where the chidush, the Mishnah is assembled from many similar teachings from other areas, but putting it together in this one picture is, we did have a Mishnah like that also. The Mishnah about the shopkeeper, and like everything's on display, and like God knows everything, and like he's going to pay you back. Those were all ideas that were like known, but it was putting it together into one mashal that was like the chidush. Okay, I want to stop soon, but there's this one Meiri that I want to do, and I don't remember enough of it. I just remember there's one part I really liked. And oopsies. Okay, so he says like, so I again, this is ChatGPT, so I'll translate it from here. Amar shehei memai be'esek v'yasok b'Torah. So you should minimize your business and be involved in Torah. Klomar sherov hahamaya le'iskim u'leschoros meshakachas haTorah mimi shemalamda. So excess yearning after or striving after business and merchandise, whatever, causes the Torah to be forgotten from someone who learns it. Koshkin shemafkiasa min haba lilmod. So sorry, it causes one to forget Torah who teaches it, and all the more so if you want to learn it. Kamram be'ervin. Oh, so this is an interesting pasuk. Okay, I think I have to quote this because I don't think the version quotes it. Me'aver liam. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I like this Rambam. So there's a pasuk in the end of Devarim describing where Torah is and where it isn't. So it says, lo bashamayim. Oh, that's so small. Yeah. Lo bashamayim hi lemor miyale lanu hashamayim v'yikacha halanu v'yashmina usav nasana. Torah is not in heaven. Where did it go? Where did the Torah go? Lo bashamayim hi lemor. It's not in heaven, such that you should say, who can go up to the heavens and get it for us and make us hear it, and that we can do it. And it's not overseas. Lemor, as if to say, who should go over the sea for us and bring it to us so that we can hear it and do it. Rather, the word is clear, or the matter is close to you in your mouth and in your heart to do it. Okay, so he says, what does it mean that this is not he? Chazal say, lo me'aver liyam he. What does it mean it's not overseas? Lo timsa b'sacharanim b'tagarim. You will not find it in merchants and businessmen. Okay, because they used to go overseas. V'amar achakaf shval ruach b'fnei kol adam. Then it says, be very lowly in front of people. V'zem mimash b'yarni le'el mishnah daled shazo hamida tzricha l'netia elakatze. So he says the same thing as the Rambam and Rabbi Yona. This mida requires going to the extreme. When we talk kach masir liyoso shval ruach afilu mi she'ein roy lekach. You should be lowly even to someone who's not fit for it, not worthy of it. Oh, interesting. He says, but as long as he's not a Russia or a novel. So he says, Davka, and maybe this is like Rambam is saying also, you should not be shafel, low spirit in front of someone who's lowly, just someone who's like normal. Okay. Then he says, Im batalta min Torah yesh lecha b'telim harbe kenegdecha. So I think this is the part I liked. Kolomar v'im batalta min Torah his asik b'malach acheres. Yeah, uba amanos. If you cease in Torah to be involved in work or in trade, lo tale mizeh al madrega zulasa. You're not going to be better than anyone else. Okay. Ki im taseh socher, because if you become a merchant, kama mibnei adam socherin kamoska. There are a lot of merchants like you. Okay. V'chein b'chol malach. The same thing with all jobs and umanios and professions. Okay. You want to be a doctor? There's a lot of doctors. You want to be a writer? There's a lot of writers. Okay. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, but okay, so he says, kulam kulam betalim. It's calling all of these people betalim. Okay, nothingnesses. Kiakol efes v'tohu be'erach al Torah, because everything is nothing compared to Torah. Aval kishetishtadel b'malas Torah, but when you strive for to reach a level in Torah, taliba al malas zulasecha, you'll get higher than everyone else. Okay, now. Here's where I know what you're thinking. Really? Like, if I learn Torah, I'm gonna be the best Torah learner? Yeah, Tamar.
I mean, there's someone that we know that comes to mind, but I don't know if I should say it on the tape.
Let me turn it off for a second. At this point in the Meiri, it sounds like he's saying if you become a doctor, you're never going to get better than everyone because there's always many doctors. And it sounds like he's saying if you go into Torah, you will get better than everyone. But then why not have the same problem? So he says, when you strive to get a stature in Torah, you'll get higher than everyone else. You'll find very few who are your peers. Emes kaved. So the Chacham HaMusar, I think this is from the Arabic proverb, says, the truth is heavy, al-kain nosav muatim, and therefore those who carry it are few. Well, that's not the one I wanted. For Rabbeinu Amru b'Breshis Rabbah, this is the one. Ha-chachma me'ayin timsa. There's a pasuk in Eov that says, where can you find chachma? V'gomer. Daled dvarim hem yisodo sha'olam. So there are this is a pasuk in Eov. There are 4 things that are the foundations of the world. V'kulam im avdu yesh lahem temura keneged. And all of them, if you lose them, then you have a replacement. Kiyesh lekesef motza umakum lezahav yizku barzel me'afar yukach. Barzel me'afar yukach ve'evan yitzuk nechusha. Okay, so let me just read this in English here. There are 4 things that are the foundation of the world, and all of them, if lost, can be replaced. For there's a source for silver and a place for gold to be refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from stone. About Talmid Chacham shemes, but if a Talmid Chacham dies, Mi mevi lanu tumuraso. Who can bring us a replacement for him? Okay. That's what it means when it says, where can you find chachma? Okay. Now, if this sounds like a eulogy, this is actually, if you look it up, it was given in a eulogy. Okay. So I think the idea here. So what does he mean? Right. Again, the logic is a little funny here. Okay. Which is he's Meiri is saying that you shouldn't go into these other professions because you'll just have lots of other professionals like you, and you won't be better than them. Okay, but if you go into Torah, okay, there are relatively few people who are interested in truth. Okay, and you'll be irreplaceable. Okay. So it's like, there's a little bit of like a non sequitur feel to it, right? Like, it sounds like he's talking to someone. First of all, it's okay. I'm just in the interest of time, we're just gonna share a little bit of idea as opposed to us all working it out. It's funny because he does acknowledge that you have to go to the opposite extreme from arrogance. But unlike Rabbi Yona, who says don't be arrogant in Torah, it sounds like he's saying, oh, if you go into these other areas, you're not going to be better than everyone else. But you know how you could be really great is go into Torah, because then you'll be irreplaceable. Okay. But the question is like, what is this argument? Yeah, Vanessa?
I think the way to resolve it is kind of like, in like the general secular work world, we talk about how like, don't sell yourself out to your job because like, God forbid, if something happens to you, like your job will replace you in a second. And like, yeah everyone does a job a certain way, but like a job is a job. And it can be filled out by anyone versus like when you're talking in Torah, everyone can like 2 rabbis, 3 answers, right? Like we have every person truly does bring a unique thing that really
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
replicate any other person. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not really
Okay.
an arrogance perspective. It's just a like,
Oh, good.
you
Okay,
are
good. That's
equal.
that's exactly the idea. Okay, so in other words, like this is if arrogance is bad. Okay, so that's why you need the second clause. Okay, but what do you do with that emotion? Okay, of wanting to be like distinguished. Okay, so it happens to be that if you try getting that from other fields, you won't. Okay, you won't. Sorry, you won't, because every job is replaceable. Okay, but in Torah, every person, every Tzelem Elokim is unique, and you develop your Torah. Okay, and you contribute something to the world of Torah that nobody can contribute. Okay, but you. All right, so it is an interesting thing. Is this satisfies the need to be special? Okay, but without necessarily being haughty in relation to other people. Okay, and it is an interesting psychological place there. Is that, like, again, I think we all had to have this experience of having different teachers in Torah, and knowing different learners in Torah. Like, yeah, every person is unique in their relationship with Torah, and it is cool that you can go into Torah, and the more you develop it, the more you develop your unique, like I call it, like the Tzelem Elokim personality, or your Tzelem Elokim fingerprint. And that is something that, like, you can get, and so it's an interesting way to deal with this feeling of I want to be great. Well, if the standard way of greatness is measuring yourself against other people, that is bad, and you're never going to get it outside. It's bad in Torah, and you're not going to get it outside of Torah. But if you go into Torah, you can become, unique, and not comparing yourself to others. You're just a singular entity, and that's I think a place where that it satisfies the need for the haughtiness in a way that's not comparative to other people. Oddly enough, yeah, Ayala.
So would this apply to any creative profession, or is this specifically Torah? Because to me right now, it seems like really like there are several creative professions that this would be the case with.
Right. So it's a good question. I mean, I do think that you do have the fact that every personality is unique, right? And that those personalities and emotions and and style are expressed in art and other creative endeavors. It's a good question whether, so there's two possibilities here, right? Either he's not talking about those things, he's only talking about like what you devote your yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I'll tell you one thing is only Torah can do this in terms of what makes you like human, like your uniquely human quality is telling Elohim. But could you get uniqueness in other areas? Yeah, you could. Yeah, Vanessa?
I lost my train of thought, but something. I think this is more a polemic against. I think everyone has an innate, like we all like just understand that we were born for a specific purpose, whatever that is, and like we're different from other people. Like Hashem would, if we weren't meant to be made, Hashem wouldn't have made us. So I think everyone has that understanding. I don't think it's a desire for like recognition. I think it's just like an understanding of like we are special in some ways,
Yeah.
but like think that gets really easily distorted into like I'm special.
Yeah.
I had a train of thought, I promise. I'm trying to find it.
Okay,
That's
sure,
why I'm
sure.
floundering.
Let's do the last part of the Meiri here.
Okay.
V'amar achar kach v'yim malta b'torah yesh lo sachar harbe litin lo, klomar im tis yare shema im tis asik b'torah lo yaspik lecha mamonecha l'tzorche gufcha ubnei beisacha. So if you are afraid that if you involve yourself in Torah, then you won't have enough money for your bodily needs and the members of your household, yesh lecha liftoch b'zeh benos na yisparach. You should trust in the one who gives this. Ki hu yakin lecha haderech lahamti lecha kol ma shetzarech lecha. He will provide you with what you need to get everything you need. I think that's the idea, like I was saying with the Levim, like last time. I'm not going to go into that again. Okay, I think I actually reached the end of my awakenedness, whatever the word is. I usually we go through all the questions to see if we answer all of them. I just don't have the energy to do that, but I just want to go through really quickly and say the main ideas. So from Rabbi Yona, we got this full picture of how to grapple with the life learning ego balance, okay, and to come out alive, and the chidush there was that there is a built-in system of bringing you back on track if you start to go off, because of this phenomenon of how the Rishaim work. But you also have to take real measures to moderate your ego and not let the Torah get to your head. And then from Meiri, we got this idea of, I know we didn't work on this first part, of if you want to be competitive, the odds are stacked against you in other fields, but in Torah, if you work on Torah enough, you could develop your own personal brand of Torah, and that is something that's truly unique. All right, I'm at the end of my road for tonight. So, Bli Neder, the next time we will have Thursday night Pirkei Avos shiur will be the 26th. No, that's not true. What am I saying? The 2nd of January. Yeah, because next week I'm not going to do it, and then the week after I'm going to be in the cabin. Okay, so hopefully, God willing, in 2025, we'll continue. Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.